Hey, good evening, dear students. It's a complete pleasure to be with you again in this new class. I am delighted you're here with me. I was waiting for the majority of you to get into. And now I am also very excited because we're going to be practicing a lot today together for the first task of the speaking section, which is, as I told you at the beginning of this excursus, one of the most difficult tasks, even for the best students I have had until this point. But I'm sure that because of the level that you demonstrated to me last class, which of course impressed me a lot, you're going to perform in this particular task very well. Okay, so let's get into today's work and let's go and practice because that is everything you need to do, no more than that. Okay, how are we going to practice? Well, following exactly the same format that we followed last class. That is to say, we're going to have a topic, okay, as we have learned, as we have learned yesterday, a topic that is going to ask you to take a position, all right? It's going to divide the class. Some of you are going to go for left, some of you are going to go for right, some of you are going to say it's white, and some of you are going to say it's black. But that is the point. That is what ETS wants. They want you to be divided because by doing so, every single one of you is going to come with creative arguments in order to defend your positions. And that is what I think shows ingenuity and proficiency in your part. Of course, that is going to be translated later into a good score, and that is what you want, right? A good score. So let's go. Yesterday we practiced with this one, so we're going to move on to another one. And don't worry, because we have a lot of them. I have actually found some websites on my own that have a lot of these particular tasks, and I'm going to be sending that link to you later. Okay, so let's continue. So this is going to be the first topic for today's practice. I am going to right now read these instructions first, and then I'm going to give you 15 seconds for you to go and read this particular topic before we start with the preparation time, and of course as well with the responses. Okay, so let's go. Let's read the instructions, okay, so that you remind what you have to do and also the timing. Let's say. So it says question type task number 1. You will not be asked, you will now be asked to give your opinion about a familiar topic. After you hear the question, you will have 15 seconds to prepare your response and 45 seconds to speak, all right? So now that you remind what you have to do, please use or serve yourselves of 15 seconds to read this. I'm going to paste it right now to the chat box. I'm going to give you 15 seconds to read it, okay? And please start reading it now. Just read it. Wonderful. Okay. Now, remind, how is this going to work? Every single one of you is going to speak one by one. You're going to turn on your microphone and you're going to be delivering your response. And after you respond, that is to say, all of you, I'm going to give you some feedback for you to consider, and then we're going to move on to another task. Okay. So the first one in this case is going to be Paola. Okay. You're the first person I can see my screen, so you're going to be the first one. Please, all of you, begin preparing your response. Remind 15 seconds now. Not yet, Paola, not yet. Don't worry. This is the preparation time. Okay. There you are. Wonderful. Now it's your turn, Paola. Please be ready to do this and start responding to the question now.
I think it's preferable that the person love his job, because if you have a good job, and you love your job, you can a lot of things, so you increase your possibilities and of I don't know.
That's okay, Paola. Don't worry. It's fine. Just in case maybe some of you were not present last class or some of you have forgotten, let me show you the pattern that I recommend you to follow for this response, okay? So that you can have it more organized and you know what to say at every single moment. For example, the first thing you have to say is with regard to the topic, right? And then you mention your opinion. I consider that to have a high salary is the most desirable, or using your word, Paula, preferable uh, decision for a person, right? And then you say, I believe this because of the following reasons. You are somehow connecting that introduction with your body. I think this way, or I believe this because of the following reasons, right? And then you begin with your reasons. First argument and illustration. Imagine that you say, right, high salary, it's preferable for people because that allows you to get stuff that you really want. For example, when I get my salary, I go and shop a lot of sneakers and Nikes and Adidas and many, I don't know, many other supplies for my clothing. So that would be an argument, of course, and also an illustration. Why? Because your argument is that through a salary, you can go and get stuff that you want. But your illustration is that in your own life, when you receive your salary, you go and shop sneakers, right? Or you go and shop Nike sneakers or Adidas, or you go and, I don't know, shop any other supply for your clothing, as I said. That is an illustration, something that you are offering to the reviewer of your own life, okay? So don't forget to include that information of your own life in your responses, because by doing so, you are somehow connecting with your reviewer, right? It works exactly as it works when we are interacting with people in the normal life. When we, for example, know somebody and that person is trusting us as to tell us something personal about him or her, we can connect super easily, right? Oh, wow, this person is trusting me something personal. So you make that connection, and that, of course, is going to secure a good score for you. And of course, it also helps to the effectiveness and to how convincing your argument is, okay? Because as I said last class, by demonstrating illustrations, as much personal information in your response, you are somehow demonstrating to your reviewer that what you say it's true in your life, and that is powerful, okay? So don't forget this, just in case you had forgotten a little bit about it. Now you can see it, okay? Please try to follow this topic, or excuse me, this format. Now, let's come back. The next person is going to be Nata. Nata, please, you're the next one. Start responding to the question, Nata, and now.
Well, regarding with this topic, I think that choosing whatever you love is better because of the following reasons. I think that if that money doesn't necessarily mean happiness. For example, I have a relative who's a doctor but has always loved philosophy, and he's always regretting like what would have been if I had studied what I loved, because now he imagines a life with it and he thinks that he will be happier. And I also think that even though if you have lots of money, I don't know, sorry.
Yeah, that's fine, Nata. Thank you very much. It was a wonderful response. Okay. Let's continue. Miguel, you're going to be the next one responding. So please have your setup ready, and now please start responding to the question now.
Okay, with regard to the topic, I think that loving what you do on your job is crucial when talking about jobs. This is because this might be the job you will have for many years of your life. And when someone does what he likes the most, the payment will be secondary because you love what you do and you don't care about the payment or something like that. And I remember that I had, well, my mom used to do things that only were with high salary, and she didn't enjoy it, and she was unhappy with what she did until she realized she can do better things with what she liked.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for your response, Miguel. Okay, let's proceed then now with Sebastian. Okay, Sebastian, you're going to be the next one. Please have your setup ready and start responding the question now.
Sorry, teacher. Regarding to the topic, I believe that for a person, I think it's more important to have a job that it's meaningful in your life. For example, I know rich people who has, after finding all the money that they think they should have, they found out to themselves that there is a void in their life. And that's why, some, for example, some rich people dedicate their lives after all the money they got to philanthropy, and so they can have something else than they to contribute to society.
Okay, awesome. Very interesting, Sebastian. Thank you very much for your response. Okay, just let me write down some notes here. All right, wonderful. Okay, let's move on. Laura, you're going to be the next one. Please have your microphone ready. And now start responding this question now.
Okay, with regard to the topic, I agree about I'm sorry, can we start again, please? I
Yeah.
lost it.
Yeah, don't worry. It's fine. It's totally fine. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's start again now.
Okay, with regard to the topic, I agree with about choosing a job that has a good salary, because first of all, it's not for happiness but necessity. When you trying to get a job, you trying for many reasons, and those the principal one is because you need money. And after all, you rather choose another job while you have the money enough for doing that job that you love. And for example, yeah, I have a friend who wanna start to send cookies because he loves to cook cookies, and then first of all, she must to have money for doing that.
All right. Thank you very much, Laura. Yeah, thank you very much. Very good.
I have a question. Does it
Yes.
does my argument was like in the mirror, or because I said both of them, and I don't know if it's good.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I'm going to give you a feedback. Don't worry, Laura. Let us just end up with Claudia, and I'm going
okay.
to be helping you. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so Claudia, you're the next one, and the last one actually. So Claudia, please start responding to the question now.
And well, with regards to this topic, I believe that choosing a career that you love is the best thing, and because of the following reasons. First, when you love what you do it with passion. And for example, the professor I found the most memorable is one of econometry I had that loved his subject so much that it made you love the subject as well. And well, for the second reason is that when you love what you do, it doesn't feel like you're working at all. And that's all I have.
All right, wonderful. No, it's a very well elaborated response. Thank you very much, Claudia. Okay, now let's get into the feedback. Okay, I'm going to start right from the top of the list that I have here. So, for example, Paula, it was a very good response. I like the connection you gave to your ideas. The only thing that would be lacking for me in your case would be the format to follow. The the phrases. Of course, you can modify the wording if you feel comfortable with other expressions of your own. It's totally fine, but remaining, of course, with the central structure of an introduction of course, your ideas and this transition phrase connecting your position with your arguments and illustrations is necessarily going to be a requirement that I think is going to help you improving for this section. Okay, so I think that would be my recommendation there. But very good, Nata. Okay, yes, Paula, I'm sorry, very good. Now, with regard to Nata, I love the illustration you gave. About this, how your a relative of yours wanted to be a doctor, and he ended up being desiring to study philosophy because he loves that particular subject. By the way, something very similar to my case that I also got another career and I discovered that my love is actually philosophy, but let us just not talk about that. But the point is that that type of illustration, that is so profound, so unique, that is what, of course, makes the response of Nata so compelling, because she is not only demonstrating by an argument that what she considers is true, but she's demonstrating how much this argument comes to reality when it comes, or excuse me, when it is about his own family or her own family in this case. So I think that is wonderful. And the only thing that lacks to me in your response, Nata, it's a detail, is that you have to include two arguments, remind, okay? The first argument and the illustration are wonderful, compelling. And if you manage to add one more of those, it's going to be perfect, okay? So that will be my recommendation for you, Nata. Very well. Miguel, for example, very good as well. I also love the illustrations you gave. It was, very clever. And with regard to you, for example, I would, recommend you to include as well two arguments. It's basically the same case than Nata. It's just that you need to include two arguments. And if you manage to, measure the time a little bit more and to know where to stop talking about the first argument and then to move on to the second, which of course you can learn how to do it by practice, then you're going to be perfect in the task. But for Nata and for Miguel, I think that in my experience, the way you know when to stop talking about an argument is by practicing and realizing, okay, if I stop here, am I going to have more time to continue with my second argument? And how to measure time, because right, the experience of time is relative, right? Thanks to Einstein, we know that. The point is that when you respond and you practice, you are going to be more conscious of how much 4 or 5 seconds actually feel for you. Because for some people, 4 or 5 seconds is a long time. And for some other people, in some circumstances, 4 or 5 seconds is a very short time. So by practicing and practicing with this 4 or 5 seconds, you're going to appreciate the 4 or 5 seconds constantly. And by appreciating this 4 or 5 seconds constantly, you're going to know, okay, and to this point, I know that I can speak and still include my second argument. Okay, so try to practice and practice for this, and I think you're going to solve that problem. Okay, for Sebastian, for example, as well, your argument, Sebastian, for me was also very compelling. How you said that people who are rich end up donating much of their money to philanthropy. That is a wonderful argument. And if you would have complemented that argument with an example, even if you made it up, because remind dear students, I told you, right? If you want to make something up for this particular task, to invent something, do it. Nobody's going to notice it, of course, if you're not that obvious, and it's going to help you. For example, Sebastian could have said, I know that, I don't know, Rockefeller, for example, a very, very famous millionaire, right? Donated most of his fortune to one of the, I don't know, ONGs fighting against extreme poverty in Africa. Although maybe that is not true, you are mentioning something that helps to illustrate your point, and that is where it's going to make your argument perfect. Okay, so your argument tremendously strong. What lacks to me a little bit will be the illustration, that, as I say, you can completely make it up. Okay, it's not necessary to have something true or a fact. Okay, it's sufficient with an illustration that is made up by you and that you can use to support your argument. Okay, Laura, wonderful, love the argument as well. You know why, for example, you as well got out of time for a little bit? It was because you as well expanded too much on the first argument. And that is exactly what happened with Nata and Miguel. And for the three of you, the way you practice that and you improve it is, as I said, you have to practice a lot speaking just in 4 or 5 seconds. Okay, practicing and practicing in 4 or 5 seconds, because you're going to learn to measure time and you're going to feel, okay, and to this point, I need to stop, because if I don't stop, I'm not going to have enough time to include my second argument. Okay, so that is the solution for you, to practice speaking a lot or about a topic in just 4 or 5 seconds, because by doing so, you're going to start feeling what 4 or 5 seconds actually are for you. How much is that perceived by you? Okay, and by knowing that, you're not going to get out of time or run out of time. Okay, but wonderful response, Laura. The argument was good. I love it. And Claudia as well, wonderful. Okay, for you it was fantastic as well. And I think that my recommendation for you would just be to always follow the format, argument, illustration, and it's going to be very good. Okay, so wonderful, students. Let's continue with another one. We have a lot of them, so don't worry. And we have also a lot of time, so let's continue practicing. Next, I'm gonna paste it, okay? Oh, this is a very good topic, by the way, okay? I really want you to listen to your responses on this one. Here you have in the chat box, if you want to read it there, please serve yourselves over 4 or 5 seconds, of 15 seconds actually, to read it, okay? Where's it? Yeah. Please serve yourselves of this 15 seconds, okay? Okay, there you are. Okay, I think that is all. Now, please, dear students, we're going to continue, I think, with the order. Okay, no, it has varied a little bit on my screen now. The order is different. I'm going to mention the student who is going to start. Nata, you're going to be the next one, or the first one in this case. So please be ready. But now, before we respond, let's get into the 15 seconds of preparation, okay? So dear students, all of you, prepare your responses now. All right, wonderful. So, Nata, please have your microphone ready to speak and begin delivering your response now.
Regarding with this topic, I think that university is more important because I think that practice needs necessarily theory first. Like, for example, I have a cousin who wanted a job and he got the job, but he didn't know the theory before. So that when he wanted to do the job, he did it quite badly and he got fired. And I also think that it's necessary to go to the university before getting a job because lots of places ask you for the university first. I mean, they ask you for, they have to know that you went to university. Sorry, I ran out of time.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Fine. Thank you very much. Okay, let's move on. Miguel Angel, you're going to be the second one. Please have your setup ready. And now please start responding to the question now.
Okay, with regard to the topic, university education is currently a really good and important tool for the development of any skill. This is because it's a solid base for a student to get his education with university, and so is the way he learn things of it with events or talking with people. And I can say this because it's a personal example, and I thought there wasn't a really good choice to go to university until I really saw and experienced how it's easy for us to cooperate. I'm sorry, teacher. Out of time.
That's totally fine, Miguel. Don't worry. Thank you very much. Okay, Sebastian, you're the next one. Please have your microphone ready and start responding to the question now.
Regarding to the topic, I believe that it's more important for a person to have their workplace training, and because I found out in my case that, for example, a lot of recruiters think that this work experience that you have before is like the cherry on the top of, because it's essential to have your degree, right? But I think they also ask you for work experience because they don't know how to evaluate how you will develop in a working environment, while the college is just to learn the theory.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sebastian. Wonderful. Just let me take some notes here. Order. Okay, wonderful. Let's go. So please, Laura, you're the next one. Have your microphone ready and please start responding the question. And now.
Okay, with regard to the topic, an university education is so essential before you get a job. Not only because it helps you with your career, but also it helps you to train, and uh, after that, you get a job. It's then you develop your skills and the education you receive in the university, and also with those the workplace education you adapt to that job.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Laura. Very good. Claudia, yes, Claudia, you are the next one. Please start responding to the question now.
With regards to the topic, I believe that while university education is very important, it is better to acquire job skills at a workplace. First, because at university you get only theoric information. Everything it's under perfect circumstances, and meanwhile in a job you have to deal with the uh, with disruption and with an ideal circumstances. Second, because you gain experience in a real place, learning to deal with pressure and with all kind of circumstances.
Right. Thank you very much, Claudia. Very good. Okay. Finally, Paula, you are the next one. Start, please, responding to the question now.
With regard to the topic, I don't agree with this statement because the education is very important for the world. For example, one person that know about financial or economic laws, he is able to work the better way that other person without education. So it's the education is essential for the world.
All right. Thank you very much, dear Paula. Wonderful. Okay. So there we are. This is second round. Okay, we have finished. Now, some recommendations. Let's come back to the top again. Nata, again, your arguments combined with your illustration, it's compelling to me. I like, for example, how in this case, Nata, you when you committed a mistake at the beginning of your response, you said sorry and you move on. And that is exactly what I want you to do every single time. Okay, dear students, if you commit a mistake and you are aware of that mistake, for example, you say, I don't know, rather than pronouncing house, you say mouse, and you realize it, you say, oh, sorry, house, you correct it, right? And you continue as if anything had happened. Why? Because if you make a great deal of your mistake, of course, your reviewer is going to also make a great deal of your mistake. But if you don't, and if you simply take it as a normal mistake that every single person as human being commits when he's speaking, he is not going to make a great deal of it. Okay, so always when you commit a mistake, you say sorry, you correct it, and you continue. Okay, you continue. Very good. So with the response not that good, Miguel as well. You know, I think again for many of you, for Nata, for Miguel, for Claudia, for Paola, for Sebastian as well, maybe the reason why you are not being allowed to include all your response, because I know that actually you are very talented, your students, in coming with very good arguments and very good illustrations. And the reason why you are not managing to include all that within the 45 seconds is because I think you expand so much in the argument rather than in the illustration. And you know what? I think that is not really necessary. Why? Because the argument actually, the argument should be at a maximum 2 sentences. As for example, if you want to say that getting a university degree, it's important because it allows you to have opportunities and it allows you to, I don't know, have a theoretical preparation, as some of you mentioned, and to get, let's say, prestige before trying to apply for a job. Try to summarize all that in 2 sentences, super short sentences. Like, for example, if you say, firstly, because if you get a university degree, you can have more opportunities and more prestige to apply to jobs or for applying to jobs. That's it. That is the argument. Don't expand more on it. And I understand actually why I said that you expand more on it, because many of you say the argument and explain it more. Explain more about the argument, what you mean. And the reason why you do that is because you want to be understandable, right? You want to be understood by your reviewer, that the argument you are making is going to be understood. Nonetheless, I remind you that is not necessary, because of course I can understand you. And if I am somebody who speaks Spanish just as you do, the person who is going to, of course, be a native speaker is also going to understand you. So it's just necessary to mention the argument in 2 sentences, and that's it. And you move on to the illustration. It's not necessary to continue explaining your argument because you are fearing that the reviewer does not understand it. Okay, don't fear that, because as I say, the person who is going to listen to you is a professional in this area of reviewing exams, a native speaker, and is somebody who is rational as well. So it's not necessary to explain more. If you say in 2 sentences your argument, that's it. Imagine that you go for the other case. I first defended the position that getting a university degree it's better than not having it. Imagine that I go for the other one. It's better, or imagine that I say, with regard to the topic, I consider that it is not actually necessary to get a university diploma. I believe this because of the following reasons. First of all, because it is not actually necessary to get a job. And that's it. That is your argument. It's not actually necessary to get a job. And you continue. In my experience, although I don't have a university degree, I applied to a job in a business company. And given that they saw that I had previous experience in this area, they hired me. And then you move on. As you can see, the argument is just 1 sentence or 2 sentences. It's not actually necessary to explain more. I could have said, for example, because you don't need the university degree to get a job, and I could have continued, because universities are sometimes not of very high prestige, and so many people right now are considering university degrees as something useless. I could have complemented, right, my argument. But notice that it's not necessary. Notice that it is not necessary, because with the simple sentence, you don't actually need a university degree to get a job. It's sufficient. You don't need more than that. You don't need to expand, okay? So just say the argument concisely in a cursory manner, directly, and move on to the illustration. Because with the illustration, remind, why are you including the illustration? To make your argument understandable. So remind, is the illustration what is going to help the reviewer to understand what you say, and obviously to make it stronger. So don't worry about trying to expand, okay, way more and say and to include more information. Simple sentences, all right? Let's continue. So for Laura as well, for example, illustrations are lacking to me as well there. So try to always include illustrations, because as I said, the illustrations are the most important part here. Actually, I would say that arguments are not the most required thing by the reviewers, because at the end, you know, the argument is simply a sentence and that's it. But nonetheless, remind that this is a personal question, and they want to make sure that you can personally have conversations with people, okay? And that is to say, with this sensation of being a human, speaking to a human, right? Not to a computer and just arguments and arguments. Claudia, wonderful as well. I love your grammar, Claudia, by the way, how organized your grammar is, how clean it seems to, at least I find it to be super clean and very connected. So your ideas are very easy to follow. Wonderful there. And as well for me, Claudia, it would be lacking the illustration. Okay, as I say, the illustrations are tremendously important. And actually, I would say that illustrations are easier to find, because you just have to speak about yourself. And what do you know more than yourself, right? Yourself is the topic that you know the most. And finally, Paola as well, wonderful response as well, very good. The only thing that would like to me as well here will be the illustration. The arguments are fantastic. I don't have any complaint here. You are very, very ingenious, okay? Very ingenious. All right, so let's go with another one, okay? If you agree, we have more time and we have more practice. So remind, try to simplify your arguments to 1 or 2 sentences. Avoid expanding so much. If you want to say that, if you are for a position that university degrees are not actually that important, you say, firstly, because they are not actually a requirement for you to get a job. That's it. That's your argument. You don't need to say, because universities are not of prestige nowadays, and because now there are so many professionals that not actually all of them are good, not necessary to include all of them. Just stay with a simple sentence, okay? Let's go with this one. Do you agree or disagree with the following statement? Why or why not? Listening to music while studying is a bad idea because it makes the time spent less effective. All right, this is a very good topic as well. I want to see your responses in this one. I'm gonna paste it. Please read it, serve yourselves, or excuse me, of 15 seconds, okay, to read it. There you are. Okay, wonderful. So who's going to be the first one in this case? Paula, you're going to be the next one, or the first one in this case. Please, guys, but nonetheless, let's get into the preparation time before. Start preparing your responses now. That's it. Now, Paola, please have your microphone ready and start responding this question now.
With regard to the topic, I don't agree with this statement. The music is stimulated for the mind because the person feels better when they listen to music, and the music do it's I don't know this
Okay.
part.
That's fine. It's fine, Paola. Don't worry. No, it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry, Paola. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, wonderful. So, Miguel Angel, you are the second one. Please have your setup ready and start responding to this question now.
Okay, with regard to the topic, I think that listening to music is a great choice while studying. Why I say this? Well, to begin, there's a feeling when doing chores or studying, and so there has to be a motivation for doing those. And listening to your favorite songs is a really good chance that you can have in order to do better what you do actually, and not getting bored every time. And I can say that there are a lot of people who does this and who do this and succeed more than the ones who are in silent, completely silent, and in boring places. So they are less motivated, and their presentations are okay. That's
Okay, thank you very much, Miguel. Sebastian, you are going to be the third one. So please respond to the question now.
Regarding to the topic, I believe that people can listen to music, but it depends of the music that they are listening to. For example, in my case, when I was studying for university, I used to listen to music with lyrics, and it was hard to keep focusing on the topics I was studying. So, and with another friend, I found out that he can't listen to any kind of noise in the room. So it depends on the person that should know the best how the best way to learn from him. And but I think the most overall people, I think they can listen to the music.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Sebastian. Just let me check the notes here. Okay. All right, wonderful. Now, Laura, you're going to be the next one. Please be ready and start responding the question now.
Okay, with regard to topic, I consider the music as a part of studying because it also, but also depends the kind of music you are listening to and uh, the subject you are working on. And however, listening to music is because of the following reasons. It's a way to relax yourself and you can feel more comfortable with that. And for instance, I always listen to music, but I don't like to listen to music when a people is singing. That's why I always listen to soundtracks.
Thank you very much, Laura. Thank you. Very good. Claudia, you're going to be the next one. Please start responding the question now.
With regards to the topic, I prefer to listen to music when I am studying, because of the following reasons. First, listening to music makes you feel good. It produces endorphins and it makes studying more entertaining. For me, it helps me to study longer. Second, because listening to music can help us to remind things. For example, I love to listening to music when I am studying some language. I listen to English music when I am studying English or French music when I'm studying French.
All right, wonderful. Thank you very much, dear Claudia. Very good. Okay, finally, Nata, you're going to be the last one in this occasion, so please start responding the question now.
Well, regarding with the topic, I think that listening music while studying is it has negative effects on you, and here's why. In my experience, I think that makes things that should take a lot, a short time make, sorry, I think that it makes things that should take a short time take a long time. Even though it's tempting to listen to the music I love, I rather not. And I think that also makes you feel bad. In my classroom, the girls who are not used to listen to music while studying get frustrated and sad because they can't study well.
Thank you very much, dear Nata. Wonderful. I'm sorry. Okay, now we are done with the third round. Okay, now for all of you, I think you are still committing the same mistake there. And now I managed to separate some specific examples so that you understand what I'm talking about. I'm going to use, for example, Claudia's response as an example for what I tell you. For example, notice if you listen to Claudia's response, the second argument she gave in favor of the position that listening to music while studying is a correct idea or an advantageous idea was that she said, it helped me to remind things. And that was her argument. It helped me to remind things. That was it. And then she moved to illustration. Why do you think that Laura was, in this case, I think, the only person who managed to respond to this question in the 4 or 5 seconds she got, and including all the information she managed to think about in the preparation? Was because she spent little time in the arguments. She mentioned the arguments super shortly, and she spent most of her time in the illustrations. For example, I repeat, what was Laura's second argument? She said, secondly, when I listen to music, it helped me to remind things. That was her argument. The second argument was that. And then she moved on to say, I listen to this music and it allows me to remind, for example, when I am speaking French, it allows me to remind French or English when I am listening to music in English and stuff. Wonderful. So, and I give you other example. Let's say that when Miguel, for example, or was Miguel? Yes, Miguel, I think. Oh, yes. Wonderful. So, for example, The first argument that Miguel gave as a reason in order to sustain his opinion was that listening to the music that he likes helps him not to get bored while working, right? And he mentioned this argument in two sentences, but he later continued expanding on the argument. He continued saying, listening to favorite songs make you boring, etc., etc. So what is the mistake here in this case? The mistake is that he continued the argument. He could have just said, when I listen to music, it prevents me from getting bored. And that was it. That was the argument. And then he could have moved to the illustration. When I listen, for example, to I don't know, to Tusa by Karol G, I just get very much prepared and anxious to work. That's it. And that would have been the illustration. So as I say, to remain concise is the idea here, just as Claudia did. She said, secondly, music helped me to remind things. And that was her argument. You notice, right? The difference is that she offered a very concise argument. And by doing so, she managed to include her illustration that, as I say, it's what it is very much strong in this particular task. Okay, so try to do that. Try to replicate that. Just to remain your arguments or to remain with your arguments in a very concise manner. Okay, one sentence, two sentences at a maximum. It helps me, or in the case of Miguel, when I listen to music, it helps me to prevent frustration. That's it. That's the argument. Or I don't know. In the case of Sebastian as well, right? What type of music? It depends on what type of music. That is the argument. Well, for example, I disagree with this, but anyways, it depends on the type of music, and that was the argument, right? As you can see, concisely, right? Wonderful. Let's go with the last one before we finish. Try to follow what I told you. Remaining concise, all right? In the arguments, in the illustrations, you can talk a lot if you want, but the argument's concise, okay? All right. Now, this is a quite difficult question to understand. Okay, let's go with this one. We use this one, right? Oh no, I think we didn't. Or did we? No, I think we did, right? So doesn't matter. I have here an opportunity to save the situation because, and this is something that I'm going to let you have actually. I have a link here. Okay, wonderful. So I'm going to send you this link tomorrow, but it has a lot of questions of this type for this particular question. Okay, so let's go with this one. Okay, interesting. For example, let's go with this one, which is very much current in our context. Okay, you have 15 seconds to read it. All right, wonderful. Now, the first person is going to be, in this case, Nata. So please, Nata, have your setup ready and start responding to the question now.
Well, regarding with the topic, I think that the statement is correct. I think that people should be fine when not wearing a mask because there's some scientific proof that mask makes COVID a lot less dangerous. And I also think that sorry, I don't have another argument.
Okay, that's fine. It's fine, Nata. Thank you very much. Okay, Miguel Angel, you're going to be the next one. Please start responding to the question now.
Okay, with regard to the topic, I do think that people should be fined if when they are not wearing masks and during the pandemic, because first of all, we're still in a pandemic situation, so there are a lot of danger around us. And for secondly, I can say that it's more on proper health, a more topic of proper self-health protection, because I think that there are a lot of people who don't care of how they are, and they are affecting each other every time they don't accomplish to the rules of. I'm sorry, I didn't have it. Other.
No, it's fine. It's fine, Miguel. Thank you very much. Okay, Sebastian, you're the third one. Please start responding to the question now.
Regarding to the topic, I believe that people should be fine. I do believe that people should be fine when they do not wear a mask, because at a critical stage of the pandemic, it's probably more sorry, my it's probably more. I think it's sorry, I got this.
No, that's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry, Sebastian. Would you like to start again so that you can respond?
Wait, what?
Would you like to start again?
Yes, please.
All right, wonderful. So please start responding now.
Regarding to the topic, I believe that people should be fine, because at the pandemic, it's clear that the first experience that is that, for example, some say that the experience is the best way to learn. So once you get fined, some people that the people that are irresponsible, they won't do it again, with the mistake of not wearing a mask during the critical stage of pandemic, for example, that happened in previous months.
All right, wonderful. Thank you very much, Sebastian. It was actually very good. Okay, Laura, please, you're going to be the next one. Have your microphone ready and start, please, delivering your response now.
Okay, with regard to the topic, I consider people shouldn't be fined with no with when they do not wear mask, but also because of the following reasons. Many of them have already got COVID and they are not afraid. That's why maybe most of them do not use mask, and also they can they think they can get infected by other ways. Yes, in my case, I got infected with. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
I
It's
don't
fine.
know
Thank
what to invent.
Okay, thank you very much, Laura. No, it's okay. Don't worry. Claudia, you're the next one. Okay,
Okay.
go.
With regards to the topic, I think that people should be fined for the following reasons. First, because they put in danger the others. For example, in my job, people didn't wear a mask at first, so many people got sick. Second, because if you don't punish these people, more people will follow their example. Like here in Bolivia, in public transportation, many people and drivers don't wear a mask, and they put in danger the others.
All right, wonderful. Thank you very much. Perfect. Paola, you're the next one. Please start responding to the question now.
With regard to the topic, I agree with this statement because the pandemic have killed a lot of persons. So the pandemic have been bad for our life. The person must wear masks for care other people, for care the rest persons. That's it.
All right, thank you very much, Paola. Wonderful. And finally, please, Miguel, you're the last one this time. Please start responding to the question now.
Teacher, I did.
Oh, you're responding? Oh, you responded? Okay, I'm sorry. It's just that
Yeah.
my screen moved and I got a confusion there. Sorry. Thank you very much. Okay, so I like, for example, how you're improving. Every single time we practice, I notice you more comfortable with the format, and I notice that you understand what you have to do. You stay your position, you go with your argument, you move on with your illustration, continue with your argument, and go with your illustration. I would say that the general problem for all of you is the time. That is to say that you are not managing to include all the information that you do manage to gather in the preparation time within your 4 or 5 seconds. Now, why do I think you continue doing the mistake, or what do I consider is the mistake that refrains you from getting out of that mistake? I think that the mistake is the following. The mistake is that you don't that you expand so much in your arguments. And what should you do in order to avoid that? Well, you should, as I say, state your argument in simple sentences. Again, I'm going to use the example of Claudia here because I find it to be very much useful in this situation. For example, if you pay attention to what Claudia responded, she said, in the second argument she gave for arguing in favor of the position that people who are not wearing masks should be fined, she said, if you don't punish these people, others will follow them. And that was her argument. If you don't punish people, or if you don't punish these people, that is to say the ones that do not wear masks, right? Others will follow them. That was it. Now, notice that she could have continued and said, if you don't punish, others will follow them. And this will be negative for society because probably a lot of families are going to suffer the loss of a beloved being. She could have continued, right? And complement her response, but she didn't. She just stayed with what? With a simple argument. If you don't punish these people, others will follow them. And then she moved on to her illustration. This type of simple arguments, short, concise arguments, are the ones that I recommend you to use. Because the reason I have noticed why many of you run out of time, it's because of that. Because you mention your argument and you expand and continue complementing it. But it is not actually necessary. That is the point. For example, Claudia's response, I understand it magnificently. I don't even need her to continue talking about her argument because the illustration she gives allows me to comprehend her point, even when she does not spend very much time in the actual argument. As I say, her arguments are always short. If you don't punish people, others will follow them. And that's it. And then she goes to the illustration. And by the illustration, I can understand her. That is what you should try to imitate. Because if you do this, as I say, you can speak in the illustration because the illustration, it's always going to be something strong. You can spend more time there. And by speaking more in the illustration, you're going to have time to include your both arguments and to use your full 4 or 5 seconds, okay? But as I say, you are improving every single time we're practicing, and I like that. As I say, I notice you more comfortable, and that is the point. Now, what am I going to do for you? Remind this, right? This is a link with a lot of speaking practices for this section. A lot of what? Of links, okay? So what I want to do right now, I'm going to send it to the groups, okay? Here we have the first one, and here the second one, okay? There you have it. Wonderful. So please take advantage of this in your free time. Practice, because another way of getting out of this problem of running out of time is by practicing. As I say, measuring by your own how much 4 or 5 seconds actually are. Okay? How do you feel how do you feel 4 or 5 seconds are? Okay? That is it. Now practice with that. A lot of exercises for you to practice free. Okay? Now, please, before you go, I'm going to take the assistance, and I appreciate your help as well with the poll. Feeling it positively. Okay, thank you very much. There you have the poll. Please look at your screens. You help me a lot. Okay, and now please let's get into the assistance for you to get your certificate at the end of these classes. Sheet of paper. Right, there you are. Okay, wonderful. So it's here, for example, Velázquez Claudia Cecilia. Yes, okay. Okay, no, it's not this one. Okay, here. Is here Claudia Guzman, Patricia, Jennifer?
Yes, here.
Thank you very much, Claudia. What about Laura Leticia Mamani? Yeah, I saw her. Thank you. Álvaro Miranda. Yeah, I got you, Laura. Don't worry. Don't worry, I got you. Álvaro is not here. Jessica Gutierrez. Okay, Jess was not here. And Miguel Angel Silva.
Present, teacher.
Thank you very much. Your student. And finally, yeah. Marlena Natalia. Okay, Marlena is not here. Fernanda Natalia Cerruto. Thank you very much, Nat. And Sebastián Emilio. Sebastián, I know you're there, don't worry. And
Here.
finally, Paola. Yes, don't worry. And Paola Manzaneda.
Present.
Thank you very much. Wonderful. So that was it. Thank you very much for your responses. Please feel free to use the resources that I sent to the WhatsApp group. Practice, practice, and practice. And I see you tomorrow for more practice, okay? Thank you very much. Have a wonderful night.
My teacher, thank you.
Good night, teacher.
Goodbye. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.